G'day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. We're looking at 15 reasons why New Zealand is the best country in the world. Well, I know it looks like a damn spectacular country. That is a big claim. Let's see why they say this. This is from a channel called the Geography Bible. So be linked in the description down below. Been way too long since an exclusive New Zealand video. Love New Zealand, love the Kiwis, and like Australia, great people. Great country, absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look. Here we go. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous. There's no other way to put it. Epic. I'm a big geography guy, someone who is just amazed by nature. And let me tell you, New Zealand definitely competes. I could see it the first 5 seconds here. Why this might be an accurate claim. I mean, this place is absolutely gorgeous. You cannot deny that. Look at that. Whoa. Look at how lush and green that part is. Woo! New Zealand, you're beautiful.
I personally don't think I've ever heard a bad word spoken about New Zealand.
It's a good point.
Sometimes regarded as being one of the most beautiful countries in the world, this isolated nation is a very desirable place to visit, live and retire. I was lucky enough to travel there in 2020.
Lucky.
But then something called COVID-19 decided to pop up and ruin all of my plans.
Oh no.
So in this video, we've got 15 reasons why we think New Zealand is the best country in the world. Because my name is Sam, and you're watching the Geography Bible. Alright, so let's kick off this video with
natural
number
beauty.
15.
Yes.
It's natural beauty. New Zealand is undoubtedly one of the most beautiful, picturesque countries in the world. From Mount Cook to Milford Sound to Hobbiton, New Zealand is a very mountainous, rugged country. So it offers some of the most stunning, picturesque views you will see on Earth. With it being a relatively narrow island, you are also never too far away from the ocean. Number 14.
That's true.
Its climate. New Zealand has a largely temperate climate. While the far north has subtropical weather during summer, inland alpine areas of the South Island can be as cold as -10 degrees Celsius in winter. Most of the country lies close to the coast, which means mild temperatures, moderate rainfall, and abundant sunshine. Pretty much the perfect climate. Not too hot, but not too cold. Apart from earthquakes and the odd cyclone, New Zealand does not experience much life-threatening extreme weather. Number 13. Its low population and density. At just 5.1 million, New Zealand is a very small country. What's more, around a third of New Zealand lives in its biggest city, Auckland. To put this in perspective, there are about 75 cities in the world that are more populated than the entirety of New Zealand. New Zealand has a population density of around 18 people per kilometer squared.
Well, you know what? That's not a bad thing, right? Very lucky people that get to enjoy waking up in a beautiful place like New Zealand, but not a ton of traffic and craziness going on because 5 million people spread across those two islands is not very much at all. So that's a great thing. I'm sure people there would like to keep it that way. What a great start to this video.
Making it one of the least densely populated countries in the world. Like. This low population and density means less congestion, less traffic, and a general chilled vibe. Which of course isn't everyone's cup of tea, as some people do prefer the hustle and bustle of big cities.
Not me. But yes, some people love big cities. They really couldn't care less about going out in nature much or getting away, right? They like the energy of a big city. That is a real thing. I'll admit that. Having millions of people and just tons of stuff to do. But yeah, I'm more for being somewhere beautiful with not a lot of people. So I can definitely see the infinite appeal of New Zealand. I do imagine before the pandemic, especially, they got a lot of tourism, though. I would think. If they didn't, I'd be surprised.
Its history and culture. Even though New Zealand is a relatively new country in terms of the year that it was discovered, it is packed full of history. New Zealanders take huge pride in their culture, and the Maori people, along with their traditions, are well respected. Maori were the first...
Absolutely fascinating and powerful culture in just a tidbit, the little bit of Maori culture I have seen. It's incredible, really
to arrive in New Zealand, journeying in canoes from Hawaii about 1,000 years ago. A Dutchman, Abel Tasman, was the first European to sight the country, but it was the British who made New Zealand part of their empire. You'll find amazing Maori historic sites across New Zealand, as well as beautiful colonial-era buildings dotted throughout the country. Number 11. Hobbiton and Lord of the Rings. Regardless if you are a Lord of the Rings.
Now, fun fact, I think I've actually said this before, but for those that don't know, I hate to say it, but I have not watched those. I think I watched one of them literally 20 years ago, and 20 years ago, I was too young to be interested in them because I think they're really long movies, aren't they? Like 3 hours or long or longer. So, yeah, I definitely have not seen those. I am well aware, though. I know it's a super famous movie series. I'm well aware that they exist, and only recently learned that they were a lot of it filmed down here, or if not all of it. So this would be cool to see. I would go see this if I was there, regardless of if I saw the movies or not. I do know enough about how fun and cool it would be to see this Hobbiton.
Fan or not, the Hobbit set and the surrounding rolling hills are absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
it was one of my childhood dreams to visit Hobbiton, and finally in 2020 I got to visit.
Wow.
And I wasn't disappointed. It was the most beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky and 20 degrees Celsius weather. The movie set is New Zealand's third largest tourist attraction, attracting approximately 17% of international visitors.
Not surprised.
And estimated to bring in around $78 million to the area annually. Take this with a pinch of salt, but I was told during my tour that the director of Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson, receives 50% of all of the revenue, meaning he earns a cool $39 million or so every year. Number 10.
That's not a bad
isolation.
gig.
New Zealand's isolation from the rest of the world does have economic drawbacks. For example, when I was there, I know
if you had to gripe or nitpick something, right? Everything has something to nitpick, I guess, if you really want to go there. Yes, it is a little, for me, as someone who's never been an islander of any sorts, it would be a weird vibe, I guess, to be on an island. As much paradise as it might feel like, it would also be weird, at least for me, to think like how isolated it is. That's like kind of an awesome thing, but also kind of a odd thing as well.
Notice the price of some groceries is astronomical compared to what it is in the UK and Europe. Quite simply, if New Zealand does not grow a certain produce, it may have to import it from a place that is tens of thousands of kilometers away. Its isolation, however, does work in its favor politically. Apart from Australia, who is like its older big brother, New Zealand doesn't really have any neighbours. And any neighbours it does have, like Fiji, are not world superpowers. Compare this to the likes of India, who have the nuclear superpowers of Russia, China, and Pakistan on their doorstep. Number 9. Its beaches. When you think of New Zealand, you usually think of huge, picturesque mountain ranges and rolling green hills. But what most people don't realise is that New Zealand has some of the world's most pristine and beautiful beaches.
Look at that beach and that cave, it looked like, the rock formation there.
Home to 90
90 Mile Beach.
However, the name is actually completely wrong. It's actually only 55 miles. Still, an incredible distance. With New Zealand being such a small country population-wise, you'll often find completely deserted beaches that you can have all to yourself. Number 8. Most livable cities.
How surreal would that be? I'm sure some of you might know that. Consider yourself very lucky to experience that. Anytime I've been to a beach, which is super rare in my life, never been a big time beach goer, although it's awesome. It's always been crowded wherever I've gone. To be on a beach that picturesque and potentially be there alone, have it all to yourself. Wow, the serenity there, just how surreal that would be. That would be amazing. Wow.
In 2021, 2 of the top 10 most livable cities on Earth were in New Zealand. Wellington, which came in 4th place, and Auckland, which
Look at this, between Australia and New Zealand, top 10 livable cities in the world. That is incredible. To be honest, out of all the countries in the world, we're only talking about 4 countries here. So between Switzerland, the Aussies, the Kiwis, and of course, Japan, wow, you guys cleaned house on the top 10. That's very impressive. It's incredible.
ranked as the most livable city on Earth. To be a country
Wow,
of this
that
size
is
and feature 2 of your cities
amazing.
in the top 10 is an almighty achievement. Being a livable city pretty much means that it is a nice place to live. Low crime, clean environment, and
Wow.
job opportunities are usually the main factors to contribute to a livable city. It must be noted, however, that when the 2021 rankings were released, New Zealand at the time was one of the only countries to pretty much stomp out COVID-19, meaning its citizens lived a mostly lockdown-free life. Now, of course, since then,
that's incredible.
things have changed. Number 7. Low corruption. New
Wow,
Zealand
that's a good
is one
thing.
of the least corrupt nations on Earth. In fact,
The U.S. cannot claim that, can they?
it usually battles Denmark
a different,
and other Nordic countries for the
different
top
thought than I'm
rankings
used
in
to.
the world. In
a nice one.
2021, New Zealand ranked as the equal least corrupt country in the world, alongside Finland and
You know, the U.S. does a lot of great things. I'm not really ripping out hard. I do love my country. But yeah, I'm surprised it's not more red, you know? Makes you wonder, right? Even parts of Europe, very impressive. That's a nice thought, right? Surprisingly, a lot of this is in the red. A lot of corruption going on. So, hey, be proud of yourselves. That's a great, great thing.
Denmark.
Of course, Canada
As mentioned
besting us,
earlier,
our
New
neighbor.
Zealand
Not
doesn't really
surprised.
have any enemies, and because
That's a
it
good
isn't a
thing.
nuclear power, has a relatively small economy and population, it rarely finds itself getting involved with foreign affairs. Number 6. A relatively
You know, I respect
small
that.
country.
They stick to themselves. You know, no one hates them. They don't start any beef with anyone. That's something we could all aspire to. That's really, really good. Much respect for that.
Offers everything. Although New Zealand is rather remote and small, it offers a wide variety of activities that its residents and tourists love. From gorgeous beaches and surfing to skiing, whale watching, mountain climbing, and wine tasting. As
Wow.
mentioned earlier, this
Beautiful.
country offers a range of different climates and landscapes. So you don't actually ever have to leave the country,
Yeah.
as most things are already on your doorstep.
How
Number
cool is that?
5. Queenstown. Often described as the adventure capital of the world, not only does it offer activities for thrill seekers such as skiing, bungee jumping and skydiving, it is also one of the coolest and most beautiful looking cities in the
Oh
world.
my God.
Queenstown
What on earth? Look at the city down here and then the water right there and jagged mountains everywhere surrounding you. That is unreal. I'm speechless. That is beautiful.
sits on the shore of Lake Wakatipu, among dramatic alpine ranges. A popular holiday and backpacking spot for any time of the year. Queenstown is renowned for its 4 distinctive seasons. Winter brings
Ooh, okay. So let's see here. I'm getting more familiar with Celsius compared to like a year ago. I'm not a total expert yet, but I'm getting there. So yeah, summer is definitely nice. A little hot even at times, but that's good. That's good climate. Autumn looks not too bad. A little cold some days. Winter can be pretty cold. So it's got a winter for people that like 4 seasons. It looks like it definitely has 4 measurable seasons, though not extreme, right? Because Chicago can get way colder than this. I imagine they have some foliage change colors in autumn, right? And then winter, you got the snow sports. I didn't even mention. That's a good thing. Really cool that they have 4 seasons down there.
crisp blue sky days with snow perfect for skiing. Spring retains the snow but blooms into longer, warmer days. Summer offers sunshine and long twilights, and autumn a burst of brilliant red, orange and gold. Number 4. Its
Good.
social purpose. New Zealand ranks 3rd in the world when it comes to social purpose. Now, what exactly is social purpose? Well, it's the country's attitude and actions towards a variety of social attributes, such as animal rights, human rights, the environment, commitments to climate change, gender and racial equality, and many more. For this
Awesome.
reason, New Zealand is a very progressive, healthy place to live. Now, of course, this doesn't mean it's perfect, but ranking 3rd in the world means it is one of the best countries in the world for its social purpose performance. Number 3. Its road trips. New
Oh,
Zealand
yeah,
is
that'd
a
be fun.
country built for epic road trips.
Jeez.
I can personally vouch for this, as I did a road trip through the country in 2020. Unfortunately,
Wow.
a global pandemic decided to pop up, which ended up ruining most of my plans. Low amounts of traffic
Look at
outside
that.
the major
Oh
cities,
my
alongside some of the most breathtaking views you will ever see, results in
Wow.
an absolutely stunning road trip adventure. Being an
Sign me
isolated
up.
country with low population means there is less light pollution too.
Oh,
so the night
yeah.
sky makes things even more epic.
I bet
To
those
drive
night
from
skies are
North
beautiful.
Island to the South Island, you must take a 3-hour ferry from the capital Wellington
Wow.
across to Picton, which is a little pricey, but admittedly it is extremely fun. You can sip on a glass of wine as you float past the incredible fjords. Number 2. Its chilled, laid-back vibe. Its isolation, low levels of corruption and crime, low population and density, alongside a society that is friendly, open-minded and welcoming, means that New Zealand is an extremely safe, chilled place to live, work and study. If you're looking for a busy city or country with a booming economy and that hustle and bustle vibe, then New Zealand probably isn't your best bet.
Right.
You might be better off living in a big city in Australia. And finally, number 1,
Right.
the best country to survive a global collapse. New Zealand
Wow.
is often voted as being one of, if not the best country in the world to survive a global collapse in society.
That's
Its
amazing.
rapid response to the pandemic and ability to completely seal itself off from the rest of the world has reassured its citizens that if a society was to collapse, let's say an even deadlier pandemic or a nuclear holocaust, then New Zealand would be a safe place to be.
That's
Again,
incredible.
with its isolation and political stability, there are very few countries that pose a threat to New Zealand.
Wow.
If a nuclear war was to break out, there is a very slim chance that New Zealand would be targeted. Its mountainous, rugged terrain, alongside being an island, would also pretty much make a land invasion impossible to win.
Right.
Now, of course, New Zealand isn't perfect. It does have many issues of its own. For one, the country is tucked away in the corner of the world. It's
Yeah.
a country that does require some planning to visit, and flights aren't cheap there. Round trips from the US or Europe are almost always over $1,000. And the
Jeez.
journey takes over 23 hours. And even when you
Oh,
arrive, the
man.
country itself is far from being budget friendly. It is one of the most
Yeah.
expensive countries in the world to travel and live in. So what are your thoughts on New Zealand? Would you live there? Let us know in the comments. As
Would I live there? Hell yes, I would. But that's easy to say, right? I mean, moving across the world, that'd be tough. But on paper, yes, it is absolutely beautiful. I think people that do live there and live there happily are extremely happy and should consider themselves very lucky, right? I to add to the end, right? Nowhere's perfect. I'm sure they have, their own problems. Everywhere does. Cost of living looks like that would be a big problem. Very expensive, I imagine. Also housing. I'm sure housing is very expensive. So that's definitely something to take note of, right? And I'm sure it can be a struggle for some people. Other than that, it does. It looks like an absolutely gorgeous place, like something out of a storybook or some epic movie, because, I mean, movies have been shot there. I mean, it is just almost out of this world. Immense respect and admiration for the beautiful country of New Zealand. I do have a lot of awesome people in this community on this channel, and I know that we do have a lot of Kiwis and people just in general from New Zealand or that have lived there before in this community. So I do appreciate you guys, and let me just say again, you guys got an amazing place down there. Much respect from this American here. Looks like a beautiful, quiet, safe place that is in stark contrast to a lot of places here in the U.S. So with that being said, guys, wow, let me know what you thought of this down below. Have you traveled there if you're not from there? And if you're from there, do you know how amazing it is there? Or if you live there, yeah, do you absolutely love living there? Or is it more challenging than it appears? Go ahead and let me know stuff like that down in the comments. And throw a like on this video, a thumbs up. It will help it out a lot. Throw a like on there for those views. They were absolutely gorgeous. Subscribe if you haven't already, because you can join our amazing community here and never miss a beautiful video like this one. Check that description for this original video from Geography Bible. It will be linked down there, and other ways you can interact with me as well. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, guys. Catch you later.